You will own, Mr. Jefferson, our national sovereignty.
Oh, without a question, Colonel, yes. We are these states united.
I'm glad to hear it. I worry, you understand. It says in our Constitution that the laws of the Constitution must be the supreme law of the land, the laws of the states notwithstanding, yes?
I stand strictly by it, Colonel, yes.
As I argued in Rutgers versus Waddington, the law of the nation must be held in preeminence of that of the several states.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes, we understand each other, yes.
We understand each other in regard to our national safety and our national defense, and yes, of course, a system of taxation relative to the preservation of our safety and defense that binds all the states together, protects us all at the same time.
Very good. I had worried. I have heard reports that you preferred things under our former Articles of Confederation, when the states held a several sway over the nation.
I understand you, Colonel. Yes, I certainly did believe that the Articles of Confederation were of a venerable fabric. I did wonder whether the Constitution was necessary to make for a stronger, more central government. But, of course, always attending to the luminous opinions of the mighty little Madison, I came to understand that a constitutional convention was necessary, and yes, we should have a strengthening, if you will, of the structure of government.
Well, you were, perhaps, you were a minister plenipotentiary in France. You didn't see firsthand the anarchy of our system, as your own James Madison would say. You couldn't spend New Jersey money in Pennsylvania, nor Pennsylvania money in New Jersey. We needed to have regulation over the interstate commerce. We needed a strong federal authority.
We needed a strong federal authority for our safety and defense, but we needed to recognize that our states must always preserve, protect, and defend their political influence.
Under the dominion of the national government, of course.
For the general safety and defense, but for an individual state, under the dominion of their own jurisprudence. Who knows better the interest of the citizenry residing in a particular state than that state itself? Are you to suggest that the federal government, favoring perhaps those in Massachusetts Bay, would place that favor upon those in Virginia, or vice versa?
I find very often that locally, geographically, there will be bitter rivalries, individual animosities that will lead to gross unfairness. Therefore, it is a federal authority that is more reserved and can be more neutral in such matters.
And yet the method of electing the president through electors is one that is wont to provide a fairness, though I'm not so much in favor of it. After all, it does not pronounce the opinion of the people generally. And were we to have a well-educated citizenry, those who own their property, those who hold the reins of self-government in doing so, perhaps an electoral college will no longer be necessary.
The people are variable and changing. They seldom judge or determine right. That is why it is a very good thing that we have the electoral college, so that the common man may not elect the president of these United States, but learned, more educated statesmen may do that.
I beg your pardon, Colonel. Is that not rather contrary to the principles over which we engaged our American Revolution? The American Revolution, as I've said oftentimes, was fought on behalf of the common man. It is an imposition, let alone simply impolite, to suggest that an individual is incapable of governing themselves. A government should do everything it possibly can to protect and defend that individual from injury by another, particularly their own fellow citizen, but also help to encourage and cultivate that individual in their inherent right to govern themselves.
Why have government at all? Because the passions of man will not conform themselves to the dictates of reason without enforcement. Ergo, it is necessary that we have a strong federal government to oversee these matters, so that one may not sacrifice the greater good to individual animosity through avarice or personal selfishness.
You are suggesting, perhaps, that we should fall back upon a system of monarchy?
I am not suggesting a system of monarchy.
A strong and central government is a system of monarchy. It winds up in the hands of those who have the means, those who have the fortunes, financiers and monocrats. It takes the government out of the hands of the common man. Now, I will agree with you, if men were angels, governments would not be necessary. But I ask you this, did we find angels in the forms of kings to govern us?
Hardly, but real liberty comes neither in despotism nor in the wild extremes of democracy, but only in moderate governments. It is as Alexander Pope says, for fool forms of government let fools contest. What's best administered is best. And here we have an example of a government, our Constitution, that is strong and capable. And it must be, as it says in our Constitution, that the laws of the Constitution are the supreme laws of the land, the laws of the states notwithstanding.
I concur with you wholeheartedly. I do believe that the Constitution should be the ultimate law of the land, but I believe it should grow as a people grow. After all, a child of 14 cannot wear the same clothes at the age of 40. Our laws and institutions must grow as we grow as a people. Not as we grow as a nation led by the wealthy, led by the financiers, those who might sit as board of directors of, say, a national bank who could ascribe any kind of value, any kind of currency to a piece of paper and thereby take out of the people the value of hard money, ready money, that which will always remain the same in the hands of the people themselves.
Certainly, we must, as a nation, a new nation, adhere to the hard currency. We saw what happened under the Confederacy. When they ran out of funds, they simply printed more, devaluing it. But a national bank would establish a currency and support a stable currency.
Well, then I might suggest, if we are to establish a stable currency, that the two of us might work together in suggesting a system of currency, a value to be ascribed, perhaps as the ancient Greeks will want to value the decimal in tenths of a dollar. Might that not be agreeable in the establishment of a national mint?
Well, here I think that perhaps we are agreeing that in the establishment of a national mint under the office of Secretary of the Treasury would be a very beneficial thing to society in America as a whole.
Well, now there's where I might have a caution, entirely under the office of the Secretary of the Treasury.
Certainly. Where else would it reside?
Well, I think it should have some sort of oversight of the Secretary of State.
Secretary of State?
Well, should we not allow the Patent Office to be under the guise of a Secretary of State? The ideas of the citizenry to be secured, not only for the benefit of their nation, but for the benefit of themselves. And therefore, should that not be relative and related to the mint, to a system of coinage, and to the Secretary of the Treasury? We can work together, I dare say.
Mr. Jefferson, are you suggesting that it would be better to have the mint taken outside the realm of the office of the Treasury?
Perhaps what I am suggesting, Colonel, is that if this idea of a national bank is one to succeed, well, then it should have some sort of oversight, some sort of commentary afforded by the Secretary of State. I have not disagreed with you entirely that supporting a deficit of spending for a time may be worthy, so long as we pay off that debt. Pay off the public debt. Help the people to understand that they are ultimately responsible for it. And then as that is eradicated, then perhaps we shall in time, by, say, the end of the charter of a national bank, no longer be in need of one, and thereby have money more provided at a greater extent amongst the people so that they themselves can engage their own economy without the economy engaged by a national bank itself.
A national bank allows a nation to operate under the limited capital it has and work larger, in a larger venue, if you will. The Bank of England allows Great Britain to operate its empire worldwide. Now, we are in severe need of capital. We must have something to support this. If we create a national bank, we allow ourselves this. Plus, we have the advantage of being able to sell scrip or the shares of the national bank and create more revenue for our country. Mr. Jefferson, we are not going to be able to retire to our plantations and pay this debt off, this $80 million piecemeal. It's simply not feasible.
There, when I show a sense of agreement with what you have said, Colonel, you will suddenly want to throw out something to which I vehemently object. You suggest that the national bank once more should be guided by financiers, those, I mean, who can afford to purchase these subscriptions, purchase whatever bonds that might be issued by the government, let alone the bank. No, sir. That, I believe, would allow the direction of our nation to be in the hands of financiers, be in the hands of the wealthy. If we are to consider such a scheme, well, then perhaps it should be open for 20 years, a charter established for 20 years. And as you heard me say earlier, after that 20-year period, perhaps then the people will agree there is no longer any need for such a national bank, no longer any need for securing the future of our nation only in the hands of those who can afford it.
It is a strange perversion of ideas, and an idea as novel as it is strange, that men should be deemed corrupt and criminal for wanting to become proprietors in the welfare of their nation, either through purchasing government shares on the open market or through purchasing shares of its national bank. Be that as it may, you will own that the laws of the nation must supersede those of the individual states?
Yes, I said earlier, for our national safety and our national defense and a system of taxation relative to it.
Yes.
And that is where it should end, Colonel. For I am of fear that if we allow such a federal government to grow any further, then it will become a business unto itself, requiring further taxes in order to support it.
In the aftermath of the Revolution, New York passed the New York Trespass Act, which was in direct violation of the Treaty of Paris. I argued that case, wherein it was necessary that the court decide to make the decision that the laws of the nation must be held in preeminence over that of the individual states. It is as Cicero says, when two laws stand in direct confrontation one with the other, it is the law that affects the greater number of people, or that is more important, that must hold preeminence. Thus, it is the laws of the nation must be held more important.
As you know, I've often considered myself an antique Roman. There's much of that empire that I greatly admire, but I would not want to suggest that the Roman example should provide for us an American empire. For in empire, sir, those who benefit are those who receive, while those who are always at a fault are those who pay. No, I would rather see this to be an empire of liberty, as if it is to be the empire of any one particular concern, a liberty of the people at large, those who are invested in the property and the land of this nation, those who can thereby hold the reins of self-government, provide directly for their sustenance, the sustenance of their family and their farms. Good heavens! Colonel, could you imagine someday with the idea of a national bank, the idea of stock jobbers and monocrats taking hold of the economy, the political economy of our nation, that farmers would consider it more beneficial to pursue their happiness by leaving their farms and settling in the urban markets, thereby having to become dependent upon others for their sustenance, others for their livelihood. Good heavens, if you ponder it long enough, you might come to the conclusion they might even have to become dependent upon government itself for their welfare. No, Colonel, I am in favor of an agrarian citizenry. Those who are rooted to the ground, they are the virtuous of this globe. They are the chosen people here on this earth.